So, like our new intro says, no bull, just real talk. I got a bunch of comments on my my video yesterday, and I honestly wasn't expecting it. Even Lyle from No Hippie and a few others. I was kind of surprised. But just to clear a few things up, like I know a lot of my videos, like it sounds like I just hate Prime and that kind of thing. I don't hate Prime. Like I think everybody that I've met, super cool, and they're super nice. And I think I even responded to somebody's comment saying like, man, you'll love coming to Prime. Everyone will help you, any way they can. Are there bad apples at Prime? Sure. I don't know what job or what place you can go to where there's there's not some guy who's like an asshole somewhere. You know what I mean? No matter what company you work for, even your own family members, no matter where you've been, there's always somebody that like just leaves a bad taste in people's mouths. So are there like really crappy people at Prime? Yeah, sure. I mean, you'll run into them eventually. But 99.9% of the people that you run into, they're super cool. They're really, really nice, and they'll do anything for you. So don't take what I say like to heart, like, oh man, he's making me not want to come to Prime. No, Prime's a great company. They got great people. The higher ups, I've never met them. From what I heard, they're pretty cool. Like, they're real down to earth kind of thing. But I don't really, no one's really bumping elbows with them, right? So for the most part, it's mainly the drivers. And when you go through there, everyone's just chilling and hanging out and talking. It's like a big cafeteria in there in the terminals. So really, really cool. So yeah, don't take what I say, like it's like hardcore. That's the truth, that kind of thing. A lot of times, like I told the guy in the comment, a lot of times I'm just venting, just because I'm annoyed or something. But still, just don't take it to heart. I wanted to go over something, and I made me think about it. Was I was going through videos, and I was just searching around YouTube, and I was eating dinner, and my wife had just gotten home, and we were just talking, and what I actually noticed it before. I just didn't think anything of it, but somebody had made a comment on the Prime Inc. I think it was Uncensored. Or no, I'm sorry, it wasn't Prime Inc. Uncensored. It was a new CDL holder group on Facebook. And he said, I think his question was, how does sleep apnea affect your ability to work for these companies? Like, what he was talking about was like truck driving. And it made me think, like, I haven't seen hardly any videos about, when it comes to, at least, like I said, at least when it comes to Prime and how Prime handles things, I don't know. It's not that I don't know about Prime. What I meant to say was I don't know how it is at other companies. I don't know how they handle things. I've heard that some companies won't hire guys with sleep apnea. I've heard that other companies will help them out with it. I don't know how it works. All I can tell you is how it works at Prime. I know how it works at Prime. So when you first go into your, I think it's orientation. When you go into, when you go do like it's like they like look over your paperwork to make sure everything's correct. When you go and talk to that person, they look at your application and they look at your height and weight, and they put it into this little calculator. And basically, if it says that you're overweight, then they recommend you to go to like this sleep apnea like class. It's like a, what is it? It's like a precursor to going to do like a sleep test, right? So they go in there and they tell you about cardinal sleep is what it is. So they'll have a representative in there that tell you all about cardinal sleep and how their program works and how much it all costs and all that stuff. It's good. I mean, I see why they do it. It is sleep apnea at least for truckers is a big thing. I don't care who you are, where you're from. Sleep apnea for truckers is a big thing. And I don't know how it was back in the day, but at least now it's something they look at pretty closely. I don't want to talk about just yet what what issues with the way they do it. So basically, if they identify you as needing to do the sleep test, you'll then give you a piece of paper, and then you'll call down to Cardinal Sleep, which is in the terminal building. I think it's in the basement. This is in Springfield. I don't know where it is for Pittston and Salt Lake, but at least in Springfield, it's in the basement. So you give them a call, and say, hey, they told me I need to make an appointment for a sleep test. So then they'll tell you, give you a date and time. And typically what ends up happening is you'll have you meet there. I think it's like at 8 o'clock. It's like 7:30, 8 o'clock, between 7 and 9 o'clock. I know because there was one guy there. He was there for a little earlier. So you get there, you check in or whatever. They bring you in the back, and then they hook up all these little different sensors. Man, there was all in your nose and your mouth and you're all over your head. I mean, I don't know how anyone can sleep like that. The rooms have like TVs in them. They have like a place for you to charge your phone and all that stuff. So basically, you're in there till about, I think it's like 5 o'clock in the morning when they wake you up. 5:30 in the morning when they wake you up. If you got to use the restroom, you let the lady know, and she'll. They have like this master block where they have everything plugged in. They just unplug it from there, and then you go use the restroom, whatever, and you come back and they replug you back in. So, super nice ladies. I mean, they're great. The kind of younger, I would guess between 18 and 25. I mean, they're young, but they're super cool. Super cool. So then basically, if you, so once you're done, the next day you'll come back, they'll give you a call and say, hey, we got your results. So you'll go back in there, you'll sit down. I sat down like on a computer, and it was like a webcam type thing. And he just went over the results, and that was it. So I didn't have to get any kind of machine or anything like that. Could I? Yes, but you're talking 99, probably 90% of the population could fit under that category. Where could you? Yes, but do you need it? No. So didn't get anything. And so that's basically how the whole process works. And then you have to pay them from the machine. It comes out of your check or whatever. And it's crazy. Even if you don't need it, you still got to pay, like, I think it's like $800 or $500 or something like that. And it comes out of increments, like $80 in increments. So that's basically, in a nutshell, how that whole process works. Now, my issues with it. So the first thing is the way they figure out if they're going to send you to do the sleep apnea test. They just put your age and your weight in a calculator, which doesn't look like it's any kind of like official thing. It looks like they just got it off a website, and they just type it in. And if it says overweight, basically, then they send you. The crazy thing is, I know even my uncle. I know lots of people that look like complete twigs, and they have sleep apnea, and they had sleep apnea, and they didn't know it until it was too late. They got into an accident, or they felt tired all the time, or whatever the case was, until they finally went and said something or did something because they didn't know, and then they kind of went from there. So I think if you're going to force people to do it, if you're going to only cherry pick certain people, I think then you need to make it so everyone incoming has to do it. Now, how that's going to work for the flow of how orientation and everything works, I don't know. And I can see why they would do it, because there'd be no way to handle that many people. But at the same time, I think it's unfair that you're cherry picking people, based on certain things, and then, everyone else is cool. Just doesn't make sense to me. The other thing is the cost. Man, I know that Prime does take on some of the cost, but damn, man, it is expensive. Just to do the sleep test, just to go in there, sleep in their bed with their little sensors, and then go home. You're talking. I can't remember how much it was. It was between $500 and $800. That's a lot of money. That is a lot of money to just go and sleep in someone else's bed. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a lot. So I think there's a better way. I mean, I think if you don't. They're the ones that wanted you to do it, right? I mean, it's not like you volunteered. Now, in my opinion, if you go and do it and it turns out that you don't need it, like you don't need a CPAP, and they're the ones that wanted to, or a CPAP machine, and they're the ones who wanted to go do it, then you shouldn't have to pay anything. Like I said, I mean, you assumed that I had it, and then I didn't have it, and now I got to pay for what you assumed. This doesn't make any sense to me. Now, if you do have it and you do have to go do the sleep test and you do have to get a CPAP machine, then I can see, having to pay for it outright. But for them to be like, oh, we think you might have it, so you have to go do this, or else you can't work for us. That's messed up. Because then they're like, oh no, he doesn't have it. He doesn't need to get a CPAP machine. He's completely fine. Oh, okay, we'll make him pay for it anyway. That's kind of how it feels. So, anyways, once you go through all of that. and you get your machine, you have to keep up with, like, I think it's like these filters and these masks and like distilled water and like all this shit, And supposedly, I heard you can get your own machine. I think it has to be up to their standards, so it's got to be able to like connect or like a Bluetooth or something along those lines. But you got to be able to send the information to them. And then you can use whatever settings, like, whatever it needs to be set on or whatever. You can get that information from Cardinal Sleep. Then that's from what I understand. Now, I'm sure there's lots of guys that'll probably comment and say, "Yeah, I use my own machine," that kind of thing. But most people just go with the one that Cardinal Sleep gives you because it's I mean, it's pretty. I've seen it. It's pretty nice. I mean, it's not too shabby. But if you preferred your own, I'm sure they're not gonna say no, right? So either way, you're paying for it. Whether you go out and pay for it on your own or you pay through it with your check from them, either way you're paying for it. So it's just a matter of when do you want to pay for it. Honestly, I mean, I don't. I think that my biggest issue with it is like the way they do it. How they just kind of like, oh well, you have to go do this, and if you don't, then you can't work for them. Now that's I think that's my biggest issue. Now when it comes to like, and then when it comes to your medical, so your DOT, your what do you call it? The DOT physical. Sorry. I wanted to say DOT inspection. I don't know why I was wanting to say that. Anyways, DOT physical. So when you want to do a DOT physical on a normal average person, it's a what? I think it's 2 year. I think it's a 2 year. And so if you have the CPAP machine, I believe it's 1 year. So once you get the machine and you're compliant, that means for every day for 30 days, using the machine and all that stuff. So you'll get a card every year. So every time you do your DOT physical, it'll be a 1 year card. And then I've heard they've gone as low as 6 and 3 months. That's I think a little more rare, but not unheard of. And then let's see. So DFT physicals are 1 year. Yeah, you have to stay in compliance. So for people that think that you can like beat the system, I've heard of guys that like, oh, I just hook it up to my dog, that kind of shit, and or they'll just run it at night, and not wear it. No, those machines aren't retarded. It works on a series of like back pressure and all that stuff, so it knows when you're breathing out and breathing in and all that stuff. So you can't beat it. Right? You can't beat it. Now, maybe back in the day, older, maybe if it was just basically a machine that pushed air to your nose, that's one thing. But these are a little more high tech. And then, so that when they want to see your compliance, so I've heard of them being Bluetooth. I've heard of them you can be emailed. Just depending on the price you pay, basically how crazy they can get. But for the most part, you can be plugged up or whatever. Anyways, you can send them the file or printouts of the of your compliance, of how much, like what it basically says. It's basically telling them if you're wearing it or not. And if you're not, then you're in. Now, what happens to you if you're not wearing it? I don't know. Maybe you get fired. I don't know. I haven't talked to anybody that's happened to. I haven't heard of anyone that it's happened to. So, but I know that I have to assume that they'll probably fire you if you're not in compliance. And I don't know that's. I mean, I get it. It's uncomfortable. I get all of that. But when it comes to like your safety, the people around you, their safety, the people if they're training with you, their safety. I mean, honestly, just wear it. I mean, honestly, just wear it. I mean, it's either that or death, basically. I mean, you're gonna wreck falling asleep during the day. Now, it's funny because they always ask you, do you feel tired during the day? Name one person that doesn't feel tired during the day. I'm willing to bet that the people watching this video right now are probably tired. I mean, everyone around you, the guys next to you are probably tired. Your family members are probably tired. I mean, everyone that I know sometimes takes a nap during the day or just feels, like crap. They're just tired. I think everyone and their mother is probably tired throughout the day or, during certain times of the day. I mean, it never fails. So I just, it's like they're just trying to find like a reason for you to, have to get this machine. And And I'm sure Cardinal Sleep's loving it because they have to be making bank. I mean, they absolutely have to be making bank. Um, even I'm sure they don't care if I'm honestly, the more people that they push to them to go just to do a sleep test. I mean, they're probably making a ton of money, hand over fist. I mean, I don't know if that's something that Prime owns or if Cardinal Sleep is like a third party, company or whatever that just works inside that building. I have no clue, but gosh, they got to be making a ton of money. And it's that it sounds shitty to say for people that truly have a medical disorder and for them to be making money off you like that, kind of shitty, right? So, yeah, I mean that's the way Prime does things when it comes to sleep apnea and the CPAP machine and that kind of thing. And you can't do anything. You can't go forward at all until you do the test, the sleep test, and all that stuff, and you've like officially gotten a machine and all that stuff. And as soon as you get the day you get the machine, you have to be wearing it that night when you go to bed. You have to be wearing it because I think they'll check it check it throughout. So I don't know. I mean, I think it's crap that they picked certain people to go take a test, and then the rest of them are like, oh, it's fine. You don't look like you would have it. You don't didn't fit in this calculator, so you should be fine. And like I said, there was a guy that actually had sleep apnea pretty bad, and he didn't have to go do the test. As a matter of fact, there was people that were commenting on that thing I was telling you about on that new CDL holder group, and he was like, "Oh, I just told him I didn't have it, and that was it." And there are some companies out there that they just take your word for it, like, "Oh, okay," So I guess it's good that Prime is kind of doing something about it. But at the same time, I think the way they're going about it, it's the more I talk about it, the more I feel like is Prime tries to put a lot of the cost on you, and and not just for the sleep apnea thing, but for multiple things, and that to me is pretty frustrating. I've heard someone say that Prime's a multi-billion-dollar company. I think they can take on a little more of the cost instead of trying to figure out different ways to not have to take on the cost and figure out ways to put it on us. I think that would be, in my opinion, if they were to, to figure out ways, especially when it comes to things like that, where they try to force you to do the sleep apnea thing, I think if they found different ways to not just like pay for some of it, but, kind of think of ways like, look, if we have them go do this test, and they don't have sleep apnea, then we shouldn't make them pay for it. I think that to me would be fair. Not like, oh, we think you might have it, go do this test, and then you go do it, you don't have it, and then you still have to pay them. I didn't volunteer to go do it. I told you guys that I didn't have it, and you still went and and had me go do it, and then I still had to go pay them. To me, that's like just a middle finger in your face. Just like, oh well, too bad, go do it anyway. Frustrating, but either way. Let's see what else. That was the only thing I had. Just the sleep apnea thing. I just noticed that there was hardly, and I've looked around. I mean, there's hardly any videos of talking about Prime and sleep apnea. There's sleep apnea videos out there, but when it comes to Prime's process and all that stuff, I really wish there was a better way to do it. So let me know. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments. Like, how do you feel about the whole sleep apnea process and how it works with Prime? Let me know down in the comments. I always love reading you guys' comments, and I try to reply to all of them. Sometimes there's a lot of them, so I sometimes I can't get to them, and you guys sometimes it becomes like a long conversation type thing. So I try to avoid that because it's not Facebook, right? I mean, I can't keep responding. But let me know in the comments what you guys think about Prime and the sleep apnea thing, and how you feel about it. Like, do you think it's fine that they're kind of putting more of the brunt of the cost on us, even though we're not the ones who asked for it? Or do you think that, it should be where we really should take on more of that cost? Or how do you feel about maybe Prime's approach to sleep apnea as opposed to other companies you've worked at? Guys, thanks for all the love and support. I look forward to reading your comments. So catch you on the next one.